What's up, y'all? It's the Relentless podcast where we're stirring up passion and purpose for marriage.
That's right, we're diving into topics you always wanted to talk about. Real life, real struggles, real love, and real results. So what are we waiting for? Let's go in. Welcome to the Relentless Love Podcast. We are back live and direct, and we love it. I'm glad to be with y'all today. I'm glad to be next to this beautiful woman right here, man. This turquoise shirt just got you glowing, and I'm distracted.
Yes.
I'm just like, let me focus on filming because I'm looking at my wife, and she's just amazing. But we're glad to be back again. Talking with y'all, having some real conversations, man. So thanks for tapping in.
Yes.
Hit the like and subscribe button so that we can grow these numbers because we want to build the platform. Because everybody needs to hear these things. They need to hear about the marriage and the gems we're dropping, man, to grow marriages. Pursuing purpose in marriage and passion in marriage. That's our goal and our heart.
That's right. And we want to connect with you. So if you haven't already, please register for the webinar next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. It is virtual, so you can be in your PJs, get a cup of coffee or some tea, and just chill with your spouse. Even if you're not married, you're welcome. If you just want to learn about relationships and communication, join us. It's absolutely free, but we do ask that you register. Yeah,
register now, man. Tap in, man. We want to grow that platform as well. Because we want to teach, and that's our heart, teaching, man, and growing and building relationships.
Yes, and if you register, like, subscribe, and all the things, you will enter to win a prize bundle that we have. So, yes, do
we
that
all like
soon.
prizes and gifts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're talking about a great topic today, a relevant topic, a real topic that's, like, a lot of times it's not really discussed.
Yes.
It's when trust is lost.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
What do you do? How do you
navigate that?
Yeah.
And trust, even defining trust, like, what is trust? What does that mean? Because we all have it in our head swimming around, and sometimes in relationships, we have different definitions, and we move differently based on what we believe about that. And so we want to talk about it. What do we do when trust is lost?
Well, before we do, I just want to bring up, like, this has been an issue for us, real talk, like, in our relationship. And in fact, I think about, it's funny now, it wasn't funny at the time, but, you know, before, it was like not long before we had gotten separated. But obviously when you are living like roommates and just not connecting, right, you leave room for some distractions, right, and some temptation to come in. And I remember having to pull out my investigative skills, y'all, on Mr. Jones. You know, we weren't talking. He was working 2 jobs at the time, working overnight. And, you know, I'm like, I know you're not just sitting at work doing nothing. We're not talking no more, so what's going on? And I was just getting that inkling. So be careful when you got a praying wife. It's powerful.
She has dreams and aspirations of being an assassin, a government assassin, undercover secret agent,
being an FBI
just
profiler,
moving like that, right?
Yes.
She has
I
credibility.
studied forensics. I did crime scene. So I don't know why he thought he could try to be sneaky and get away with something. Nah. So I had to pull phone records. I confronted you about something, you know, were you talking to somebody else? And of course you denied it, and I had to pull out all my skills.
She had to spread. She spreaded it out. She said, "Here, we have Verizon at the time. I was a Verizon guy." And she spread it out the Verizon call, text log, and I'm like, "Yeah, that was such a friend from back in the day, man." It was just you end up sometimes when you're lacking in this relationship, you seek emotional comfort, or in the smallest of things or biggest of things, depending on where you're at, you end up seeking out what you're not getting here in vulnerable times and places, and it happens. It happens to the best of people.
Yeah.
This is not irrelevant to anybody. Be like, we ain't got no trust issues. That's never been a thing. No, stop it. We all have to navigate trust when it's breached or when you're vulnerable, and you end up breaching trust in a relationship. And so we have to talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about it, because when we think of when trust is broken, I think automatically people's minds go to, man, my spouse was cheating. I was cheating. Right? I stepped out. They're lying all the time. I can't trust them. But it's really bigger and broader than that, and it starts earlier. So we want to help y'all to recognize some warning signs, right? Some flags that maybe y'all are losing trust, you don't have trust, and that's kind of you'll get into the danger zone. And so we want you to catch it early.
Yeah, you have to, and you also have to define trust too, because I remember there were things that I wasn't okay with based on how I was, I won't say brought up, but my experiences.
Right.
That there are things I don't trust because of my experiences and what I've seen. Like I don't trust the whole this is my play brother.
Right.
That like that. Look, listen, ain't no play brothers. Ain't no like, oh, we just cool. That's just my little friend, and he's a male, but we just really close like that. He like a friend of the family. Not based on what I came up.
So let me clarify.
It ain't like that.
That is Brock's belief, right? And so there's just a conversation that has to be had because we didn't have that conversation.
I know.
And then you projected like this. You created a whole trust issue between us.
And that's real. That's why we talking about it.
Was never an issue.
And that's why it's defining trust because for me, I don't trust that.
Right.
But that was me defining trust in a way where like that, no, we don't move like that, right?
Yeah.
But think about if you don't have a conversation in a relationship, the tension that can cause when somebody else is like, this is just cool, it ain't even nothing.
Right.
And the other person's like, no, that I don't really.
Well, you have to come to the webinar for us to unpack what he's talking about specifically.
Yeah. We'll break it all the way down.
Yes.
But help the audience just talk through trust, like definition of trust, how that works out in relationships and marriage particularly, but in relationships where we have to be on the same page with trust. What does it mean? How does it unfold? And how does it affect our relationship?
Man, trust is huge. It is like, it's the glue, it's the foundation. Obviously, for your marriage to work, it should be founded on God, right? And centered in Christ for it to be optimal. But trust is the bridge, right, to intimacy. And so that's hard for us to wrap our minds around because it's not something you can touch and feel and see all the time. We just see when it's not right.
Right.
So when I think about, even our relationship with God, marriage should be a mirror image or a reflection of that. Whether good, bad, or indifferent, it definitely shows you where you're at. But think about that. Our relationship with God is based on our faith. Which means it's my trust in who God is, right? Trust in his character. And in the same way, trust is, man, I know you. I know your heart. I know your intentions. But when you don't know that, man, you don't have that. You can't give the benefit of the doubt. And so that's kind of my perspective on it.
That's real. It's almost like you can't touch it. It's like I can't touch air, but I know it's there.
Right.
It's like I can't touch trust, but I know when I
if you have it or when you don't.
Based on the experiences I had to be like, man, you've been consistent.
Yeah.
You've been faithful. I know your character. I know your moral compass. I know these things about you enough to say I can put my faith in you that you're going to be a safe place for me.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we're honest, it's not just on the other spouse. Sometimes it's on us and our lack of trust because we've been hurt, we've been scarred, we've been let down so much that we just lack trust. And so I think that's important to recognize where we are and take ownership of. It doesn't matter what your spouse does. If you just struggle with trusting and having faith, same with God. You struggle to trust God, how are you going to trust your spouse? Because you can't be with them 24/7.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Wounded.
Yes.
A wounded heart is hard to be surrendered and be like,
absolutely.
I'm going to surrender. Because you're going to be in self-protection.
Yes.
I got to self-protect. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be weak. So I need to take care of me. And then you resist laying it all out on the line with the other person. And it don't matter how well they performing for you. Yeah. It's just that I'm going to withhold trust because I'm wounded. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. So let's start with really the foundation is when you don't put the marriage first or you don't consider your spouse first. That kind of starts the seeds of breaking down trust because we want to talk about how trust is lost. It doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just wake up and it's gone. It's one decision, one act, one thing at a time that's chipping away at it.
Yeah, that's real.
So what are some examples of when you don't put the marriage first or you don't consider your spouse and what's best for them first and how that breaks trust?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking through me and you, early on, we were so caught up in the fact, well, at least for me, I can just speak for me, so caught up in the matter of fact things, the details and the information that I was missing your heart.
Yeah.
What your heart was asking for. And I was just caught up in the performance, paying the bills, working hard, not cheating, all the things. And I didn't really pursue your heart.
Yeah.
And I wasn't listening to your heart, which then made you not trust me to be intimate, right? I mean, we were not intimate like having sex, so we were still bonding and enjoying each other in those type of ways, but it was just the access to freely be emotionally vulnerable, to conversate in a vulnerable way, to dream in a vulnerable way, and slowly but surely, it was like the distance.
Yeah.
Because I was not really focusing and prioritizing, I need to hear the heart of my spouse.
Right.
Like, I was just so caught up in performing and meeting the duties.
Yeah.
And then we broke trust because it wasn't an emotionally, mentally safe environment for us to truly be ourselves. And our trust was broken in that way.
Right. So to put it plainly, even before you were talking to another woman or we got separated and you were unfaithful, I couldn't trust my heart with you.
Right.
I couldn't trust you like spiritually. I didn't feel safe with you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's huge because of how I'm wired, most of my world is kind of internal.
Right.
And so I didn't feel safe like sharing what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And then you felt rejected too. So there was that wall of, man, I can't be me without feeling criticized or not accepted because I'm not like you. I'm so different from you.
Right. Exactly. And you gotta understand this too. We going to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? We worshiping, we doing, so this is not like, oh, we good Christians and we just do, like, we know.
Yeah.
We know some of the truths that we need to do. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, practically coming home and not understanding the truths of this. Trust is broken, and now we are susceptible to like trying to feel trusted in other areas.
Yeah.
And that's just a playground for destruction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another example practically is like, once we got past that, we were good, but I'm just finding there's a lot of couples, especially young couples, when you don't go in with the right perspective about what marriage is and what it should be and how to honor your spouse, anything goes, right? And so we just heard recently about couples like, you DMing your ex and you going to hang out with your ex and you talking to your ex, or you have this male best friend and you see nothing wrong with it, again, because you don't understand that the marriage should be in first place, second only to God. So that's huge.
Not prioritizing a marriage with, not just with time, like, oh, we date, we have this date. No, it's considering you before I do anything else.
Right.
How does this affect you? How would this make you uncomfortable? How would this make you not trust me? Should I do it based on what you would perceive as welcoming or acceptable or not? That's true priority, right? It's not just, oh, I work 8 hours, but I give my wife these amount of times, or vice versa with the wife and the husband. It's literally considering the other person before yourself.
Yeah, all the time.
Like, I need to prioritize them and their well-being over what I feel like is comfortable and acceptable for me. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't really do that. We just like, this is my thing. This is what I believe.
Even in work, it can be good things. Like, man, should I take this promotion? Well, how is it going to affect how I show up in my marriage? Am I going to be working longer hours? Do you even stop to think about it and include your spouse in that conversation? Because it's not just about emotional, trust and physical trust, but like even financial. That's a big one. If you're still showing up in the marriage and you acting like you single and as long as y'all agree on having separate bank accounts, but if you're like, oh no, you can't see my stuff, this is my stuff, my stuff. Yeah. You can't have that single mindset
thing
in a marriage. It's not going to work. And so that creates a big, whether y'all will admit to it or not, there's a huge gap in trust.
Yep. And it's probably because of how you was brought up, what you was raised, or what you saw. Hurt you saw. A lot of my trust, it was like, man, what I saw happen to others. So you self-protect. Like, man, I've seen this play out before. I've seen this happen before, man. I've been in proximity, so let me safeguard. And now you walled up your trust.
Right.
And we just see that financial thing is real. A lot of couples are just, this is mine. I'm doing this on my own. I'm self-protecting. And you block out the other spouse because you don't want them to take what's yours if it don't work out.
And it's not about the thing or the principle. It's the heart. It's a heart issue. Trust is a heart issue. It's that we talk a lot about the 4 laws, which is like the best way. This is God's prescription for how marriage should work. Well, trust is really at the core of all of them. Right. True, and so, man, if you can't trust, you really don't have much of of a relationship.
Right, true.
You are roommates. Like, you're living almost with a stranger. Like, we know people who've been together 20 years, but they don't really know what each other is thinking and feeling and what they're dreaming about. Mm-hmm. That's not living.
Yeah, because of the safety not being there. And you combine things that happen throughout the course of time. So the small little, oh, you didn't pay the bill on time, so I can't trust you with financial. You didn't take the trash out, so I can't trust you to keep the house clean. You didn't pick the food up on time, so I can't trust you to cook right. You see how it's the little things over time that build a narrative in a person's mind. Like, they're not dependable.
Yeah,
they're not consistent, or maybe they lied to me 1 or 2 times, and now it's like, oh, here we go. The seed has been planted for us to not be safe.
Yeah,
and it trickles over into everything, and next thing you know, here we are just coexisting.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
You're coexisting with each other.
So that's one way that trust is broken, right? Not putting the marriage first, not considering your spouse. But what about that openness? We kind of started going there. Mm-hmm. That it's not even just lying, although that's a huge one. Right. Not keeping your word, not telling the truth will break it. But if you're just keeping that wall up because you're not comfortable sharing emotions. We meet a lot of couples, both men and women, who aren't comfortable. And I've struggled with that. I'm still slowly learning. Let's talk about that and the danger that has on damaging trust.
Yeah, it's really the fear of the unknown. It's like, I don't know you all the way. It's still a mystery. Like,
it's like you got this double life. Like, who are you?
Yeah,
really?
who are you? Like, we've been together in proximity for 20 years. I'm just using that as an example. Man, we've been together in proximity for 10 years, 15 years. But I don't fully know your background. Yeah. I don't fully know things about your past. I don't fully know what you believe about our future. Because maybe you're an emotionally closed out person and you say, I'm just not that deep. Yeah. Oh, I'm just not that vulnerable. I'm not emotional. Well, that prevents intimacy, which is trust, because it's like, I want to know, or the spouse needs to know so they can understand you better. But if you're not an open communicator, then it just leaves mystery. It leaves that gray area. Yeah. That's like, now it's a playground in your mind. Well, I don't know what they think. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they feeling.
And usually what we feel in is a lie.
It's negative.
Or it's not true. Right. But then you have to own that. Mm-hmm. I have to own that. If I haven't shared my heart, then I'm leaving room for you to assume the worst, right?
Right. And we tend to believe negative things. Mm-hmm. We tend to, the worst thing that could happen, right? That's where our mind tends to go to. There. Or if we want to apply spiritual principles to it, that's what spiritual darkness does. Yep. That's what depression comes from, anxiety, worry, fear, right? You end up believing the whispers of what the negative, worst thing could happen is, and then you project that on your spouse, which is really what happens a lot of times. Yeah. And now trust is broken because we just not talking to each other.
Right. So I would say, remember, trust is the bridge to intimacy, is that connection. And so it's going to require you believe in the best. It's going to require grace, right? Because we're not always going to get it right. But if we are both willing to learn and work together, that's how we begin building trust. Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of these are skills you have to learn. Like, a lot of us don't grow up in families where we talk openly about things. I mean, that's just a reality. That doesn't mean that that's okay. Mm-hmm. That means that I need to learn how to be more open, honest, and vulnerable, especially in the context of marriage, because we're supposed to be naked with each other. Right. That means, like, you see me for who I am. Yeah. I don't hide and tuck things away and be the mystery man or mystery woman with the person that I'm supposed to be the safest with and the most comfortable with. And we have to learn that is okay, and that we need to talk about what we believe, feel, what we've experienced, so that they can understand us better, and so we can actually have that trust to be like, I know if you trusted me to share that I can trust you with anything else, including my body, my mind, my spirit, my thoughts, because you were vulnerable enough to get vulnerable with me and share. Right? And that's that, like, trust fall. I don't know. We never done that physically, but that trust, like, I fall back, I know you're gonna catch me. Right. That's like trust. Like, I know I'll free fall back, you got me. So I know that if you do it, I got you. And it's because we walk through hard things and we haven't left.
You know, if we did for a little bit, you know, we came back together. And I think that's the key to rebuilding trust is, listen, I just want to say, if you've gone through infidelity, if there's been a lot of lying, there's nothing that's irreparable. God really can heal anything. He can change anything. Now, it's a choice. You can choose to leave, you can choose to throw it away, but if you don't deal with the trust issue, you're going to end up in a cycle and it's going to happen. I've heard it over and over again.
Yeah. And I mean, just a testament to you and what we walked through, knowing how you pursued me with my shortcomings and my mistakes and my poor choices when we separated and all the things I did. You chose to trust God first, which is big. I trust God with my security, my safety. I trust Him that if I do things the way He wants it to be done, that my experience outside of that will be safe. So trusting Him, but then also putting your trust in me that I'm going to pursue you in spite of and give you trust and give you opportunity and give you grace. That's a decision you made, right? I didn't have to perform my way into that. You just chose to believe the best, right? And so you also got to be careful not to put somebody in a performance cycle and on a hamster wheel.
Out of fear.
You know what I mean? It's out of fear. Like, you better jump through all these hoops to earn my trust. You better do X, Y, and Z, and then now I will trust you. And then if it's not enough, do more. And you just cracking the whip on somebody, man, that will destroy a person.
It's gonna keep them. It's not rebuilding trust. It's just controlling them and really manipulating them. And so I want to be clear. Yes, we acknowledge that when trust is broken, we have to set certain boundaries. There's certain we have to over communicate. You have to let your spouse know. You might need to track them, whatever you need to do. But the goal should be, how do we rebuild trust? Not, we're going to live a lifetime of me not trusting you and keeping these hard boundaries up. That's not living and loving.
Right. And it's really unrealistic. At the end of the day, like, that's not realistic to live in that. Right. Like you said, again, it may be seasonal. Like, hey, I need to see you putting effort towards rebuilding this or that. But to expect that to be the constant over the lifetime of the marriage and relationship, it's gonna lead to burnout, frustration, and then ultimately somebody might be like, "Man, I'm never enough. So let me just stop trying."
And again, it's not about what y'all agree to. It's not about the boundary it's set. It's what is the intention behind it. Are you afraid and you're not trusting God? Are you just angry and you just don't want to let go and forgive? Like, what's going on in your heart that's making you want to do that? And we have to own that. I think in our time of separation, that's what God showed me was, yes, you made poor choices. Yes, you did things that were outwardly wrong, but I created an atmosphere where you didn't feel honored. You didn't feel loved and accepted. And so you went out and you went to that old girl or whatever looking for that affirmation that I wasn't giving you. Well, I have to take ownership, and that requires humility, and not everybody's willing to do that. It wasn't my fault, but I can own that. You know what? I'm gonna create an atmosphere where my husband wants to be home. He don't want to go out drinking. He doesn't want to go out doing that. He feels safe with me, and I'm building him up and pouring into it.
That's real, and that is true humility and actually unlearning and learning some new things, because naturally we probably don't want to do this stuff.
No,
just natural fleshly, just like what I would normally do. It takes some spiritual awakening and some humility and some unlearning to be like, I'm gonna do a new way, regardless of what I feel I should do. But that does create transformation, and that's inner healing. You know what I mean? And that's what I had to take a journey of inner healing myself, and then understand that, like, this is a safe place. This is a safe relationship. This is the best place. This is where I need to be, right? And then let the guards down, right? And when trust is lost, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but you have to if you want this to work.
And we're both, the reality that we're both taking the risk. We're both being vulnerable. We're both laying the cards out. And then we just have to trust God with the outcome. But man, every time we've seen it, no matter the biggest issues to the smallest, like, we've seen breakthrough when they're both willing to just, here I am, taking the robe off and just sharing openly.
So you might be listening and you might be like, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Like, in my marriage, in my relationship, trust has been broken, and it could fall into any lines from physical, trust being broken to emotional, like not being safe to share,
financial.
All of these areas, you might find yourself there and be like, this is an impossible hill to climb. It's really not impossible. it just takes an open hand and a willingness to be vulnerable and say, you know what, I'm gonna reverse the cycle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not do what I want to do, which is self-protect, be defensive, all that. But I'm gonna actually start the repair cycle of repairing this. So can we talk a little bit about that? Just
definitely. Well, one thought that I don't want to lose is believe in the best. I think the power of mediation is that we get to get in the middle and help couples see the reason your spouse made this choice, so they went down that path. They were hurting. Look back at this thing that has been driving them, right? How they were treated as a child, this past relationship. They're not just saying, I don't like you and I'm going to go do this. They're operating out of a hurt and a wound. And it's like when you can understand that, it gives you the opportunity to respond with humility, I guess.
Right, yeah.
So sometimes you can't do that on your own because it's like who's right, who's wrong is my needs. And so you need somebody to come in and help you see. And it's just, that's powerful.
I 100% agree that the light bulb goes off when somebody else, like as mediators, just so we get in the middle. Mediators are like, let's get in the middle and let's help y'all reconcile this and point you back. A lot of times it's what you don't know and what you haven't seen and haven't understood because you misunderstood a person, or because it's just information that never came up that you like, oh,
wow,
that's why you do this. That's why you're like this. And we're like, yes, can you see it? Like in the middle of it, like, yes, see. So it's not as big. It's like I think you said it the other night. It's like the iceberg.
Yes.
That you can't see. It's underneath the water, but it's so dangerous. But if it was on the surface, you could avoid it.
Right.
And you just need to be made aware, like, hey, watch out for that. Watch out for that iceberg. That's why if you keep going that way, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna manifest and sink you.
Yeah.
So look out for it. It's like, hey, understand this about your spouse. That's why they're showing up the way they are. And so now you can create healing for them versus attacking.
Right.
But it has to come up. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And that's what marriage is you're signing up to like work through everything with this person. But sometimes we're like, oh, you should have it right. Why you don't have it together? What's wrong with you? Like we don't have our stuff.
Facts though.
We all have our stuff, right? And it's like, can I be naked and real and honest? And can you, like, let's show each other our scars and love each other, not shame each other and beat each other down because we're bleeding out. We're bleeding out.
And Lord knows, when we get married, we're bringing that U-Haul down the aisle with all our stuff. You're like, hey, I'm here. I'm cute. You know, I'm handsome. Yeah, I know you was attracted to me, but are you attracted to all my baggage too? Because that comes with me.
Yeah, because we don't show it when we're dating. It's not until you get married. That's why people are like, man, it was great. We've been dating for 10 years, 5 years. And then as soon as we got married, well, that's why. It's because we show up and put our best foot forward.
You see them stanky drawers on
the
floor. You see them dirty drawers. Them dirty drawers on the floor. Wait, I didn't know you left your dirty drawers on the floor all the time. I thought you were just cute and handsome and just now you gotta pick my dirty drawers. We
all have our brokenness.
Like,
we all do.
That comes with me. Like, what's up?
And all right, so back on track. How we rebuild trust. I think new positive experiences. Like we have to make a decision and determine in our heart that we're not gonna keep looking back. We're not gonna keep pointing out. I think I shared with like we can't, you know, you take a dog and put his nose in the mat. You can't do that with your spouse. We have to look at now and how do we move forward. And for every like broken thing in the past, we have to create a new stepping stone that's positive, and it erases that memory. That's the only way I was able to come back.
Yeah, I agree that, and I think I said this in one of the mediations recently we had with a couple. I said, man, you know, Dominique never brought up my past mistakes to try to shame me and make me feel bad and like you need to always remember this is what you did. Like that doesn't help.
No.
And
in
you
fact,
not doing
it can likely push the person back into that cycle because you feel like, well, shoot, that's all I am. That's all I.
Yeah, it's a label. It's you're almost creating an identity for a person. Like you're the mistake. You're the reason it's not working.
You're a cheater. You're a liar.
All of that, and you never did that to me, which I appreciate so much. You know what I mean? I probably don't say it as much as I need to, but I do appreciate that you never tried to like rub my face in the mess I made, and I'm grateful, for that.
Well, I'm grateful. I want to acknowledge to husbands or wives that maybe struggle with that. It was God that helped me to do that. That sometimes it's something so deep that you cannot